Greetings, my fellow philosophical thinkers. This is LL3's newest podcast. My name is Craig, transmitting from the beautiful swampy mangroves of South Florida. And today's date is Friday, December 8th, 2017. And I just realized it's my fourth year of podcasting. I think it's pretty cool. And I thank everyone for listening, sharing, downloading, and pasting them on your websites. They're not the best in the world, but I have fun doing it. In addition, I'm at CJ's Java Lounge, located at 400 Southwest 1st Avenue, Suite 1, within the New River Yacht Club, along the New River in Fort Lauderdale, southwest section of the Andrews Avenue Bridge. So everyone's going to be mainly talking about Trump's decision on Israel. People have their pros and cons about it, and it's understandable. Many believe he's trying to get foreign Israeli influence because they have a lot of power within Washington D.C. because President Trump is being witch hunted. And a person like myself, to be very frank, I am critical on a fair amount of his actions. And I'm not too keen of the status quo in foreign policy, imperialism, and all that. But one thing we know for sure, a lot of these accusations against him are pretty damn baseless. I see entrapment. The cloak and dagger extravaganza still continues. So that's one thing I always observe. And to me, it's a waste of energy. There's a lot of other ordeals are happening within the United States and the world. And they want us to climax over one man. Shows you how cowardly these people are because they are not more than hypocrites, tyrannical pieces of garbage. They say he's unfit. They can't even tie their own shoelaces. Doesn't matter what party they're in. I'm laughing at all of them because I've seen their constitutional duties is worth pennies worth of toilet paper used. And the frictions going on in North Korea, like I always tell people, hey, stop being an empire. We gotta go back to foreign policy, how it was in the very beginning. Avoid entangling alliances, non-interventionism. Other countries and folks that live there have to take responsibility for their actions. Standing around doing nothing is a poor solution and just an excuse. How far it's going to go, we don't know. But whatever you do, folks, try not to jump on that parrot-infested bandwagon, or other words, be part of the herd conformity. A lot of stuff is happening. Spiritual warfare has climbed a few notches. Many may call us a Bible prophecy. Doesn't matter what your views are. But the truth of the matter is, this divide and conquer game has to end. So, I'm going to rant a little bit. That's okay. I'm going to take the initiative on discussing some 4 topics, as usual. And this one came from Freedom's articles. Good site. By Micaiah Freeman. AI building AI. Mankind losing more control over artificial intelligence. As it says here. Interesting. Let me check this out. see what happened here. Sorry about that. AI building AI is the next phase humanity appears to be going through in its technological evolution. We are at the point where corporations are designing artificial intelligence machines, robots, programs to make child AI machines, robots, and programs. In other words, we have AI building AI. But some praise its development and point of the benefits, the fact that AI is now smarter than humanity in some areas and thus can supposedly better design AI than humans. There is a serious consequence to all of this. Humanity is becoming further removed from the design process and therefore has less control. We have now reached a watershed moment with AI building AI better than humans can. If AI builds an AI child which outperforms, outsmarts, and overpowers humanity, what happens if we want to modify it or shut it down, but can't? After all, we didn't design it, so we can be 100% sure there won't be unintended consequences. How can we be sure we can 100% directly control it? AI building AI, child AI outperforms all other computer systems and tasks. Google Brain researchers announced in May 2017 that they had created AutoML, an AI which can build children AIs. The ML and AutoML stands for machine learning. As this article, Google's AI built its own AI that outperforms any made by humans, reveals. AutoML created a child AI called Nazanet, which outperformed all other computers in its task of object recognition. The Google researchers automated the design of machine learning models using an approach called reinforcement learning. AutoML acts as a controller neural network that develops a child AI network for a specific task. For this particular child AI, which the researchers call NASNet, the task was recognizing objects, people, cars, traffic lights, handbags, backpacks, etc. In a video, in real time, AutoML would elevate NASNet's performance and use that information to prove its child AI, repeating the process thousands of times. When tested on the ImageNet image classification and COCO object detection data sets, which the Google researchers call the two of the most respective large-scale academic data sets in computer vision. NASNet outperformed all other computer vision systems. According to the researchers, NASNet was 82.7% accurate at predicting images on ImageNet's validation set. This is 1.2% better than any previous published result, and the system is also 4% more efficient with 43.1% mean average precision, or MAP. With AutoML, Google is building algorithms that analyze the development of other algorithms to learn which methods are successful and which are not. This machine learning, a significant trend in AI research, is like learning to learn or meta learning. We are entering a future where computers will invent algorithms to solve problems faster than we can, and humanity will be further and further removed from the whole process. AI building AI, program parameters versus autonomous and adaptable systems. The issue is stake. It's how much freedom we give AI. By that, I mean this. Those pushing the technological agenda boast that AI is qualitatively different to any machines of the past because AI is autonomous and adaptable, meaning it can think for itself, learn from its mistakes, and alter its behavior accordingly. This makes AI more formidable, at the same time far more dangerous, because then we lose the ability to predict how it will act. It begins to write its own algorithms in ways we don't comprehend, based on its supposed self-corrective ability, and pretty soon we don't have no way to know what to do. Now, when it's such an autonomous and adaptable AI is given the leeway to create a child AI which has the same parameters, humanity is then one step further removed from the creation. Yes, we can program the first AI to only design children AIs within certain parameters, but we can ultimately control that process and ensure the biases are not handed down, given that we are programming AI in the first place to be more human-like and learn from its mistakes. That's a question. In this article, U.S. and the global artificial intelligence arms race, Olson Gunnar writes, OpenAI's Dario Amodei would point out that research conducted into machine learning often resulted in unintended solutions developed by AI. He and other researchers noted that often the decision-making process of AI systems is not entirely understood, and many results are often difficult to predict. The danger lies not necessarily in first training AI platforms in labs and then release a trained system on a factory floor, on public roads, or even into combat or predetermined and predictable capabilities, but in autonomous AI systems being released with the capacity to continue learning and adapting in unpredictable, undesirable, and potentially dangerous ways. Dr. Kathleen Fisher would reiterate this concern, noting that autonomous, self-adapting cyber weapons could potentially create unpredictable collateral damage. Dr. Fisher would also point out that humans would be unable to defend against AI agents. Interesting. So, let it ride, right? Correct? That's one thing. It's out of control, cluster, amok. AI ability. Can we ever be 100% sure we are protected against AI? Power and strength without wisdom and kindness is a dangerous thing. That's exactly what we are creating with AI. We can't ever teach it to be wise or kind, since those qualities spring from having consciousness, emotion, and empathy. Meanwhile, the best we can do is have very tight ethical parameters. However, there are no guarantees here. The average person has no way of knowing what code was created to limit AI's behavior. Even if all the AI programmers in the world wanted to ensure adequate ethical limitations, what if someone somewhere makes a mistake? What if AutoMLs create systems so quickly that society can't keep up in terms of understanding and regulating them? NASDAQ could easily be employed in automated surveillance systems due to its excellent object recognition. Do you think the NWO controllers would hesitate, even for a moment, to deploy AI against the public in order to protect their power and destroy their opposition? That is a good question, and I wouldn't be surprised, my friends. It's something now you gotta look at everything across the board at the best of your ability. All right, so here's one below here. The Google's AI builds its own that outperforms any made by humans. Articles tries to reassure us with this conclusion. Thankfully, world leaders are working fast to ensure such systems don't lead to any sort of dystopian future. Amazon, Facebook, Apple, and several others are all members of the Partnership of AI to benefit people and society, an organization focused on the responsible development of AI. The Institute of Electrical and Electronics Engineer, or IEE, has proposed ethical standards for AI and DeepMind, a research company owned by Google's parent company Alphabet. Recently announced the creation of a group focused on the morals and ethical implications of AI. Various governments are also working on regulations to prevent the use of AI for dangerous purposes, such as autonomous weapons, and long as humans maintain control of an overall direction of AI development. The benefits of having an AI that can build AI should far outweigh any potential pitfalls, the pros and cons to be exact. However, I am anything but reassured. We can set up all the ethics committees we want. The fact remains that it is theoretically impossible to ever protect ourselves 100% from AI. The article containing a super intelligent AI is theoretically impossible explains. According to some new work researchers at the Universidad Autónoma de Madrid, as well as other schools in Spain, US, and Australia. Once an AI becomes super intelligent, it will be impossible to contain it. But researchers use the word incomputable in their paper posted on their ARXIV preprint server, which in the world of theatrical computer science is perhaps even more damning. The crux of the matter is the Haitian problem devised by Alan Turing, which holds that no algorithm is able to predict whenever another algorithm will forever or whenever will eventually halt, that is, stop running. Imagine a superintelligent AI with a program that contains every other program in existence. The researchers provided a logical proof that if such an AI could be contained, then the halting problem would, by definition, be solved. To contain that AI, the argument is that you have to stimulate it first, but it already stimulates everything else, and so we arrive at a paradox. It would not be feasible to make sure that an AI won't ever cause harm to humans. Meanwhile, it appears that there are too many lures and promises of profit, convenience, and control for humanity to slow down. AI is starting to take everything over. Facebook just deployed a new AI which scans users' posts for troubling and suicidal comments and then reporting them to the police, this article states. Facebook admits that they have asked the police to conduct more than 100 wellness checks on people. Over the month, we've worked with first responders on over 100 wellness checks based on reports we received via our proactive detection efforts. This is in addition to reports we receive from people in the Facebook community. Final thoughts. With AI building AI, we are taking another key step forward into a future where we are allowing power to flow out of our hands. This is another watershed moment in the evolution of AI. What is going to happen? That is one thing, my friends, about technology. You want to either to enhance humanity or be enslaved. That is the thing you have to look at. Everything we use in this entity has a double-edged sword. And we know too they're using artificial companions for sexual desires. That's being talked about. Even the late Anton LaVey, founder, the deceased high priest from the Church of Satan, addressed that in some of his essays as well. There's one thing we gotta learn, friends. We still gotta keep humanity tight as possible. It could be part of the eugenics program. Something that we really look at. So that's how I see things. And I am more concerned of automated artillery, which Keir Freeman has addressed. So, what is your intake on this? It is a dangerous slope that we need to all pay attention to. I'll be right back. Alright, cool. So next thing I'm gonna be doing, narrating, came from the FloridaCarry.org, and it's entitled Doing the Right Thing. It came out yesterday. interesting little commentary here. And it says here, no organization is perfect, and no organization has worked longer than the NRA to protect the right to bear arms. In many instances just mentioned, the NRA was backed in the corner by the politicians with whom which they had to work, and media that lied. The NRA compromised to protect what they could. Florida Carry will not criticize another pro-gun civil rights organization because they believe they have a better way of achieving the common goal we all work for. But Florida Carry will also not stand idly or when attacked for opposing a deeply flawed bill and amendment. Florida Carry makes no apologies for its opposition to bills that did nothing to advance the right to bear arms. That is a birthright of all free Americans. In other words, natural right. Compromise can be a wonderful thing that creates a country, or it can be a horrible thing that ruins one. A compromise between more or less populous states gives us a constitution that credits a House of Representatives and a Senate, a model followed by all but one state. Compromise also gives us a constitution that allows slavery to continue in this country for another 75 years in a horrible war to keep the America unified. Well, I see things a little bit differently on that. But if you know if you don't know what my show is about, you understand where I'm coming from. But I will continue on here. For the past 7 years, Florida Carry has worked closely and in good faith with the NRA in Tallahassee. We have not always agreed, but have recognized that we had a common goal. That is as true today as it was before December 5th. On that day, when Florida Carry had to take a stand that it would not compromise and allow its name to be heard in support of a bill that our analysts did more harm than good. It is our hope that after these grievances are addressed, we will be able to continue our good working relationship with the NRA. Not only would the bill have a little practical effect on how inadvertent open carry by concealed carry licensees is treated, it would have resulted in over 16,000 Floridians being investigated for even innocently denied purchase of firearms. Based on the FBI statistics for denied purchases, only a fraction of such denial are cases of known prohibited persons illegally attempting to buy guns through legally licensed dealers. The bill would have caused flawed arrests and launched harmful investigations of 16,000 citizens to catch 16 criminal purchase attempts. On December 5th, 2017, another compromise was offered for Florida Carry to support a bill that did little to restore the right to bear arms, other than to possibly prevent the arrest of law-abiding citizens whose handguns became exposed. The past 6 years have shown no matter what laws are passed to prevent arrest for advertent exposure of concealed firearm, any gun law enforcement and judges will subvert a law intent in order to advance a personal political agenda. That means controlling everyone in Florida. Hopefully you folks are comprehending this. Florida Carry chose not to be part of this failed compromise. It is important to note that while Florida Carry's opposition to the bill may be claimed as covered by anti-gun politicians, their votes were never going to go to support the right to bear arms. Florida Carry is blamed because its folks made a barrage of threatening and bullying phone calls to senators. There is no evidence to support such an accusation. To suggest that Florida Carry is responsible when a person is rude to the legislature using its name is directly contrary to NRA's own position when a person claims that should be listened to on common sense gun laws. Because they are an NRA member, as the NRA is quick to point out, anyone can claim to be an NRA member, and membership does not mean they speak for the organization. Since NRA emails against Florida Carry, we have received a number of such emails. It seems that Florida Carry does not have an exclusive on self-proclaimed supporters who lack decorum. to blame Florida Carry for opposing a bad bill was not going anywhere to begin with what was uncalled for. In truth, the bill that the National Rifle Association has criticized the Florida Carry for opposing did nothing to get rid of Florida's current ban on the open carry of rifles or any other firearm. As we approach the 226th anniversary of the Second Amendment on December 15th, ask yourself what the right to bear arms means. Ask if a refusal to accept half measures is the mark of an organization cutting off its nose to spite its face, or an organization with a true core of beliefs. A core of beliefs it will not compromise, not as it continues to fight for the right of its members. It's from the board of directors of Florida Carry. And I will say this, I don't blame Florida Carry on not supporting a compromised bill that will not benefit our natural rights within the Sunshine State. And I am a member of this organization and always believed in natural born rights, guaranteed under Article 1, Section 2 of our state constitution, which is entitled Basic Rights. And stating, any Florida resident, I'm just paraphrasing it, any Florida resident, whether male or female, the natural born rights are inalienable. Life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness, and possessing property, etc. So, a permit, open carry, prohibition of open carry is unconstitutional, illegal, null and void. Well, you got a bunch of parasites out there believing they know more than you. We're the idiots, and they're the geniuses. It was really morose about that with the National Rifle Association, which is very disappointing because I've looked at their bylaws, and that's one of their main objectives is to write and keep and bear arms. So why is that an issue? That's one of the things people need to start looking at. But I find very disappointing with this organization. Don't get me wrong. There's a lot of good folks in this large group. They did make some compromises, which it really hurts them. It hurts the cause. Furthermore, gotta be, people who are members of this organization, the National Rifle Association, has to be vigilant. Need to look at their bylaws. Have a caucus with your fellow brothers and sisters in this organization. And if you see something that's a falter, address that to them. When you do that, you're helping the cause on exercising all of our natural rights. So that's what I always tell my friends who are members of the National Rifle Association, to look at the bigger picture. And of course, you're going to have douchebags out there and these opportunists going to blame you for blame the organization for mass shootings and all that, which is completely irrelevant, null and void. But one thing we got to look at, natural born rights, right to carry, is a natural right, not a privilege. That's how I see it. I lived in Florida for 40 years, and I can make that stance. And I don't give a damn what people, what other country or state they're from, tell me how I should live, how I should think, who I can see, who I can't see. That's my decision. But if they're gonna do a little witch hunt on a certain organization because they stood up for what was right, then it'll be egg on your face. You'll be the ones burning the bridge. So hopefully the National Rifle Association, based on this letter, will look at that as well. because I do find this very disappointing. Just trying to see here. Interesting. I don't know if I have it in here. Let's find out. I'll find out right here. Oh, yeah, I got the bylaws right here. One moment. I'm going to read you here on the NRA bylaws. So, let's just see what happens. Come on. Sometimes this thing's pretty darn slow, right? Yeah, National Rifle Association bylaws. This was amended in 2009. Maybe some changes. 28 pages long. I like what it says here. Article 2. Section 1. The purpose and objectives of the National Rifle Association of America are to protect and defend the Constitution of the United States, especially with reference to an inalienable right of an individual American citizen guaranteed by such Constitution to acquire, possess, collect, exhibit, transport, carry, transfer, ownership of, and enjoy the right to use of arms in order that these people may always be in a position to exercise their legitimate individual right of self-preservation and defense of family, person, and property, as well to serve effectively in appropriate militia for the common defense of the Republic and the individual liberty of its citizens. That's Article 2, Section 1 of their bylaws. Just to give you guys a very strong heads up to all my brothers and sisters that are members of this organization, you have to look at that. I know they haven't changed it. So, all right, next one here. This is more like shooting related. This one, Orlando Sentinel, came out yesterday. It's by Melissa Healy. As it says here, add at least 57 to the number of gun-related deaths tied to the Sandy Hook mass shooting. Let's read what she has to say. Only little fact about mass shootings is that they have been very good for the gun business. Americans' anxieties are stoked by random violence itself and issuing debates over gun control. Customers, including some who've never owned a gun, race to buy weapons they fear they may be denied them down the road, and gun sales soar. Well, you have the point there. But after the aftermath of the mass shooting does not appear to be very good for American safety, new research suggests that the increased availability of firearms after a mass shooting exacts a deadly toll of its own. That toll falls heavily on children, according to the study, which links the spikes in gun sales by mass shootings with an increase in fatal accidents involving firearms. To reach that conclusion, researchers zeroed in the 5-month period following December 14, 2012, shootings in Newtown, Connecticut, that claimed the lives of 20 school children and 6 adult staff members at Sandy Hook Elementary School. In addition to expected number of guns sold in a typical 5-month period, the study authors found that 3 million additional guns were sold following the Sandy Hook shootings and beyond expected number of accidental gun deaths in the United States. They estimate that at least an additional 57 fatal gun accidents, as many as 66 occurred. Somewhere between 17 and 22 of those accidental deaths took the life of a child. It's interesting because even with the FBI reports and there's been questions, even by Wolfgang Halbig was questioning Sandy Hook the shootings in Sandy Hook Elementary School, and in accordance with the FBI reports, there were 0 murders in Newtown in the year 2012. There's no such thing as a clerical error when it comes to government. That's bad record keeping. That's something you have to really look at. So we'll continue on here. The analyst published Thursday in the Journal of Science is the latest crop of studies that looked at the public health impact of firearms. This part of blossoming in gun research, Duke University Emeritus Professor Philip J. Cook, a pioneer in the field of firearms injury research who wasn't involved in the new study. State police Personnel led children from Sandy Hook Elementary School after mass shooting in 2012. Research said gun sales spiked in the wake of the attack. The line between increased gun sales and accidental shootings is by no means a direct one, but the research strongly suggests that behavior of gun owners and gun buyers in the wake of the Sandy Hook shooting contributed to the rise in accidental gun deaths. The study authors, health economists from Wesley College and from the National Bureau of Economic Research in Massachusetts, used several measures to gauge Americans' increased gun exposure in the wake of Sandy Hook. They saw a spike in presumptive gun sales, gleaned from a spike in the background checks for most sales. They also tally increases in Google searches about gun buying and gun cleaning. That evidence, they suggest that gun owners were bringing existing guns out of storage, and then both established and prospective gun owners were preparing to bring a new firearm into the home. Scouring a federal database of recorded deaths in the United States, researchers found evidence of a spike in accidental firearm deaths to children exactly at the time of the increase in gun sales after Sandy Hook. The bump in accidental deaths didn't look like a random blip. Researchers could find no jump of similar magnitude in any of the other time periods they searched. Further confirmation came from the statistical projections of the relationship between the number of guns in the U.S. and fatal gun accidents, which were near perfect match for the actual number of deaths. Another piece of data further strengthened the argument that the increased gun exposure boosted fatal gun incidences. When the researchers mapped the increases in accident gun deaths recorded, they found that concentrated in states where post-Sandy Hook spiked gun sales were very high. There's a pattern we would expect to see. Those who purchase guns and purchase those who remove guns from storage are more likely to succumb to accidents until those guns are stored in a safer environment, wrote authors Philip B. Levine and Robin McKnight. Levine and McKnight added that the findings support the passage and enforcement of safe gun storage laws and underscore the value of having physician counsels their patients about ways to reduce firearm injuries. Stephen Tennant, who directs Johns Hopkins University Center for Law and Public Health, called the new study methodological tour de force. But Tourette, a pioneer in firearms injury research, said the researchers suggest that better gun storage practices would drive down such injuries, represents a departure from their data. There still aren't good data, and that efforts to educate people to store more gun safely end up reducing gun deaths. Terry said, there are better ways to reduce gun deaths than to tell people to be careful. Those include changing the design of these guns so kids can't operate them. Well, one of the things I tell people, let make sure your kids don't touch these damn things. You let them know who's boss. And, of course, firearm safety is everyone's responsibility. Don't get me wrong. Okay, I'm not saying just going and just leave them everywhere loaded and all that. I'm not going to make any real suggestions. But the truth of the matter is, when you own these firearms, you have to have a higher standard. Safety first. Okay? It's like every other piece of tool and equipment. You got to look at the bigger picture. But I will continue on here. The study results extended research that have found consistently higher rates of firearm deaths, including suicide, homicide, and accidents, among those living in households with a gun or who have ready access to a gun. Higher rates of gun ownership across different states and countries have been strongly linked to the high incidences of firearm-related injury and death. Well, sometimes you get to see how accurate the story is, but I will continue on here. The new findings fit neatly with research published in October showing that in a few weeks following gun shows in Las Vegas, gun deaths and injuries in nearby California towns rose 70%. And the dovetail what the study published in May, which was the first to rigorously measure the spike in gun sales after mass shootings, published in Annals of Internal Medicine, study that found a 53% boost in gun sales in California in 6 weeks following Sandy Hook shootings and increased 41% increase over normal sales level in states in 6 weeks after the December 2015 San Bernardino shooting, in which 14 were gunned down. Of course, that was in a firearm-free zone, just like Sandy Hook, if you want to go that far, if you want to go on that route. The California data cooled that study suggests that 59% of the Californians' gun purchases at the Sandy Hook were made by first-time firearm buyers. By linking increase in exposure to heightened rates of accidental gun deaths, the authors of the new study in Science are making an early effort to weave together the desperate threads of recent research. Their findings, other evidence, indirect though it may be, that fatal accidents are more common when first-time owners bring home a gun, as well as when gun owners haul out their guns to clean them, check them, and make room for a new purchase. They also suggest that this kind of firearms churns takes place more often in the wake of mass shootings. The idea is shock to the system. To add it to gun sales is certainly plausible and seems like the beginning of a casual story, said Cook, who studied economics of guns and crime for decades. It's hard to link the two streams of data on availability of guns and the behavior of gun owners. Draw firm conclusions about how and why firearms injuries occur, Cook said. I love the spirit of this article, which was to try to cut through that problem. And there may be more to come, he added. After 1996, when the law barred the use of federal funds for firearms research, once vibrant field of study was virtually dormant, he said, now prompted by a surge in private funds, public concerns, and academic interest, Cook predicted that more top researchers are going to gravitate in this area of research. And I'm going to be surprised if you got folks like George Soros is funding this. They always look at how accurate these studies are. And you're talking to a person that is pro-firearms and safety is everyone's responsibility. I even tell it to everyone who doesn't really use firearms, but I always give them those facts. Not say Second Amendment this, Second Amendment that. Don't get me wrong. I do explain it with finesse instead of screaming on top of my lungs. But one thing for sure, my brothers and sisters, when you own one, you have a higher standard. Safety is everyone's responsibility when it comes to pertaining this piece of tool, regardless. If you don't know, if you don't want to be safe with this tool or any others, don't even use it or buy it until you learn to do it correctly. We don't need legislation. We don't need Code Pink or any one of these other organizations tell us how it's got to be done. We have to make a decision what's right for us. But I would never recommend it. Use it as kitty litter. Okay, there's people that do that. That is unhealthy. So that's how I see things. And of course, they use the fear factor because everyone's like, because you know what? Because you got politicians out there that would manifest on making these laws. And that's why everyone questions Sandy Hook and even what happened in Vegas. All right? There's more than one shooter. And they still want to try to make these laws because of what happened and have you suffer for it. Like say, you can't take care of yourself. We will do it for you. So, all right. There's one more thing here, my friends. This one here came from News Target, newstarget.com, and it is entitled Catastrophic Living Condition in Puerto Rico Can Teach Us Wealth of Truth About Post-Collapse Survival by Isabel E.Z. Came out Wednesday, December 6th. What would happen if the grid collapsed? Many people imagine it will not be different from what happened when the power goes out after a storm. The long hours spent in darkness playing cards by candlelight. You've got a cabinet full of canned goods, so you'd be able to get through it, right? More than 1 million people in Puerto Rico are getting a harsh lesson on that life is like without power and running water. And we could all learn from their experience. 3 months after being devastated by Hurricane Maria and Irma, a third of people in Puerto Rico still have no power, and a tenth do not have running water. Those who are fortunate enough to have running water have to boil it before it can be used. What is it like on the ground? The first couple of days after the grid went down were marked by chaos, with locals reporting that Those without cash were unable to buy anything. 911 wasn't available, and hospitals were having trouble keeping people alive. Only 11 of the island's 69 hospitals had power or generators running on the first few days, which meant many injured people did not have access to life-saving diagnostic equipment like x-rays, medications, and important treatment like dialysis. Some people suffocated after their respirators stopped when working when the power went out. Violence rose as people grew more desperate, and communications were impossible without cell signals. Some families reported being robbed and losing everything they had. Gang members were reportedly robbing people at gunpoint, and people were shooting one another at gas stations just to get fuel. Going outside at night remains a very dangerous proposition, with streetlights not working and police largely absent. In a guest post for USA Today, Jeffrey Holzman wrote, "After Maria, we faced hours upon hours of waiting in lines for gas that may not be there. Hours waiting in the bank and ATM lines for money that may not be there. Hours waiting in the grocery store lines for food that may not be there." Many of the first-hand accounts of life where the grid down echoed the same sentiment. It was much worse than people imagined. Dead animals were strewn across the island, sometimes in fresh water supplies, where mosquitoes multiplied dramatically. 2 months after the grid went down, half the island's residents still without power, particularly those in remote and less affluent areas. The islands still look like a war zone 3 months later, and the original estimate of full electricity being restored by December has now been pushed back to February at the earliest. Are you prepared? If you don't live on an island, that doesn't mean this can't happen to you. Experts have long been sounding alarm bells about aging and poor conditions of America's electrical infrastructure, even if it doesn't succumb to age. An EMP strike could take down our grid permanently, something that some experts believe could kill 9% of the people in the U.S. in just the first year. Such an incident would leave us not just without power, but also the other thing Puerto Ricans are so sorely lacking right now, like running water, climate control, refrigeration, and medical care. The same terror overtaking Puerto Rican streets could hit the streets of your neighborhood. That's why it is so important to pay attention to what is happening there and elsewhere, and draft a survival plan of your own before it's too late. And you got the sources here, the Organic Prepper and tcpalm.com. And she's right. We got to prepare the best we can, my friends, and even working together as in small communities. This whole thing of every man and woman for themselves is completely irrelevant and unacceptable in my eyes. Here's the thing. You always gotta learn the pros and cons, what you can do, what you can't. And the other person can do this and they can't do that. You have something in common. You can gel and enhance one another. Basic survival is essential. And I told everyone this: solar power generators are going to be the hot item. And there's going to be even one that's EMP proof. So I'm really looking at that one as well. And I live in a camper, for goodness sake. So that's why I always tell my friends out there, hey, try to keep everything basic as possible. Don't worry about the material things, the garbage is out there, stuff we don't really need. So, but I know I'm preaching all my brothers and sisters out there are doing benefits to help our colleagues out in Puerto Rico, because there are beautiful people out there regardless. And it's going to take time. It's a real shame, but it's a lesson we all have to learn, because it can happen to any of us. And unfortunately for me, Hurricane Andrew hit in '92 in August. Only lost power for 6 days, 5-6 days. Others got 6 months. This one just got power maybe 12 years later, believe it or not. It can happen. This is why, my friends, the past is the 8th greatest teacher. And don't just rely on government for everything. You guys need to really stick together. Never take things for granted. And that is it. I thank everyone for listening. Plus, feel free to download and share throughout your social media networks. If you have any questions, comments, or you're something that's interesting you may want to check out, whatever you do, please address your correspondence with decorum. You can hit me on Facebook, Twitter, Google+, Spreaker, iHeartRadio, Tumblr, YouTube, Freedoms Network. I'm having problems with Scene.life, but if you can hit me there, that'd be great. Minds.com, FutureNet.club, Patreon.com/LuckyLuck3 with 3 eyes. If you want to be a donor, that'd be great. You hit me on Gab. It's more like a free freedom of speech version of Twitter, gab.ai. In addition, you can email me at LuckyLuck3@gmail.com, or to your encrypted ones, LuckyLuckNumbers03@protonmail.com. Okay, my friends. Once again, thank you for your time. But always remember that demoniac resistance helps to the soul and can liberate humanity. Until next time, take care of yourselves. Keep on spreading love, and may your guardian spirits be with you.